You know what? I understand why Fairy Tail's been trying to do this, like, sort of episodic stuff. Well, mainly because of Stella. They could have just, like, dragged out that huge-ass fucking filler arc sort of stuff they had. There are a couple more episodes, but I feel like now what they're trying to do is like, hey, we're trying to bring back the feel of Fairy Tail. You know, those really little cool episodic episodes that we had kind of like at the start of Fairy Tail, but we never continued. I feel like every time we kind of go into a filler, we kind of had this for a few episodes or so. So I can kind of see what they're trying to do. It's like maybe like Hero write some of these up and say, you know, hey, sorry for, you know, like fucking up on some of this and all that. And I know I wanted to really get back to episodic stuff, which you'll guys definitely see in like probably the next arc of Fairy Tail, which should be hopefully returning at least not next week, but the week after. There should be only 2 weeks left of filler, and then we're going to be straight on to canon. But for this one, this can close the Chemo stuff, and I've got to say this episode was a lot better with like how it did things than it was with the first episode. A lot of them dicking about, going with like all the other girls and stuff like, hey, look, here's my fucking cat, like weird little fucking monster thing. Do you know what, like, where it comes from, what the fuck it does? And it was them gathering clues throughout all of that, and you know, it just happens to connect everything. You know, oh, this part belongs to Lamia Scale, or like these ancient tablets, you know, they belong to the, you know, like Mermaid, like stupid fucking stuff like that. Like it was like, oh, this belongs to them. It's not like there's a connection with this island. And when they got like the council to get involved, and they found out what this was, out of nowhere, a fucking sea leviathan serpent motherfucker just comes out of nowhere, attacking Natsu, Sting, and Rogan gang, and they're like, wait a minute, this is a sea serpent. Why the fuck is it on the fucking ground? Why is it not attacking from the sea? And one bit in this episode, which I was like, how fucking dumb are the council? It's like, you don't need a fucking telescope to see if there's a giant serpent overlapping the fucking whole island. Thinking, gee, that looks like a part of the fucking decorations going off there. Maybe that's their signal flare. No. Like, are you fucking dumb? There's a fucking serpent and probably about 9 different people there screaming, help, help. You think you might want to, okay, we should probably call for help now. And they're just like, nah, let's just give it 5 minutes. They're dicks. Like, fuck. Like, seriously? Like, you fucking dumbass pieces of shit. If that was like, if I found out the council didn't know fucking immediately, if there's a sea serpent attacking me, then I fucking think I know something. And whilst like Sting, Rogue, you know, Urza and all them had to deal with like the fucking sea serpent on the ground, like Natsu, Kemo, and Happy and Lucy, like they had to go inside the ruins and find out the mystery. And turns out that this little fucking island has been releasing like deadly poisons. And Kemo has been getting bigger and a lot more bigger and bigger throughout the time he's like progressed through the series, and finding out that Kemo is actually a fucking god of plants. A god of plants, or at least what the villagers called him. He was like a god of plants. He's not human, he's just like a little seed buddling, and motherfucker grew up to become this giant fucking earth sort of like monster. He looks like one of the Titans from like the Hercules, not the Attack on Titan, but he kind of reminds me of like maybe one of the Titans from like the Hercules like Disney movie. He looks like he belongs in there or something. Like it looks really kind of cartoony, but at the same time kind of a little more, you know, like satanic sort of shit like that. That's just a little thought for you to go through there. But yeah, like Natsu and him teamed up, and he was like sort of the antidote for the island, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna stay, but he left like one of his little seed buddlings. So hey, Natsu, you gang can remember this, but they're never gonna remember it because fuck it, it's filler. It didn't matter. I will say this was better than last week's. Last week's was just fucking dicking around the episode, but this one, it was like more, you know, hey, I felt slightly bad for when Kemo kind of died. I felt actually kind of bad. Like, that takes something. That takes a little good bit of writing there to actually make me feel a little bit bad. Or maybe it's because it's just like 2 in the morning and I don't give a fuck anymore. But either so, it did that. It did that. So, I've got to say, Fairy Tail, you know, give yourself a pat on the back. You did alright. Next week seems interesting. It's got fucking Luxus. How can you fuck up with Luxus? Like, I actually don't want to answer that question, but even so, like, regardless of what, it's got Luxus in it, so it's gonna be interesting. That's probably gonna be one of the most interesting fillers. Do fucking 2 episodes of filler with him. I think that'd be cool. I mean, hey, we've got 2 more episodes, I suppose, is filler left, so why don't we fucking do that right now? I think that's perfect. So overall, this episode's alright. Average? I'd say above average. You know, it looked good. I didn't see any, like, you know, stiff animation at any parts. It looked, like, quite enjoyable. I thought, maybe if I was a little bit more awake, I'd get it. But I think, honestly, for this episode, a 5.5. Like, a 5 and it was, like, a slightly above average, fine. Like, it was an okay episode. And I mean, one thing that really made it was like, hey, we got to see Miliana in the ending, and Miliana, yeah, she's competing. I mean, out of all these endings, nothing's touching, and I mean, nothing's touching that fucking Mira Jane that we had a couple of weeks ago. Regardless of what, nothing's touching the Mira Jane. Although I've got to say, I do like the Kagura. I do like the Kagura one a lot, and I did respect the hero draw that, but yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this episode of Fairy Tail. Like I said, that's my own personal true opinions on it. It's like, it's another one of those little episodes that you can skip, but it was like, if you watch these two in like a little chunk or something, then you get some fun out of this. But I think waiting once a week, as I've been saying, let's get back onto fucking filler, okay? Like, we don't want no fucking filler anymore. Let's get back to canon. That's all we want. But that's all for me, so thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.